Hey, wow, we're recording a podcast. We haven't done that in a long time.
That's true.
Welcome, everyone, to Up the Waterfall. We're back. I was looking up today, and the last podcast we did was June 13th. You want to guess what year?
I'd rather not.
I actually thought it was 2 years that we hadn't done this, but it was 2023. So,
oh, that's not as bad as I thought.
I really thought we'd been gone for 2 years. I think because I kept looking at the Pleasure Island episode as our last one, but we really did a few after that, which I think that was still in 2023 anyway. So I don't know. My math is bad, but here we are together again.
Hello, everyone.
I'm your host, Zanna, with my husband, Scott. How did we ever do that before? I don't even know.
You've always had a nice little thing to... I think you had it all written out, and it was.
That's true. I did, which is on my laptop that's in the other room.
But anyway, greetings, everyone.
We are lifelong Disney fans, and
literally,
we came out of the womb wearing mouse ears. I guess I don't know.
I was.
That must have been painful.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway, it's been a bit, but we are now back at doing our fun podcast, Up the Waterfall, where we talk about all things Disney, past, present, and future. And I feel like I probably had a catchphrase before, but it's not in my mind right now. So we'll just create some new ones along the way.
Absolutely.
Since it's been a while, I thought we could do kind of a recap, because I know both of us were at the D23 Expo, which is not called that anymore.
It'll always be the expo to me.
We were at the D23, the ultimate fan experience, right?
I suppose so.
I think that's what it's called now.
And fun fact, we were there together.
We were. We planned it and everything. And it was an exciting one and a different one. There was a lot of different things, the way things worked this year. So I thought I wanted to like immediately record a podcast after that, but life happens, and that's why we haven't done this since June of 2023. But we've made a commitment that we're going to keep doing this regularly, and you will hear from us every week. Yeah. And we'll have some fun conversations, and you guys can leave comments and join in and tell us your thoughts as well. And then additionally, we will also still be doing our deep dives, which I think you guys like. We get the most comments on those ones, and we love doing them too. Thanks for joining us, and let's get into it, I guess.
Let's do it.
So we got on the plane. No, I'm just kidding. I'm trying to think about, wow, it's been since August, right? And now it's October.
It was actually
crazy.
It was like August 9, 10, and 11, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and we arrived early to get in some Disneyland action beforehand. But this was a very different expo. I'm still just going to call it expo. Disney Grammar Police. You can come after me if you want.
I can't call it anything else. I might have gotten those dates wrong too, by the way. It might have been the 10th, 11th, and 12th. I'm not sure.
No.
Something right around there.
It was 9, 10, and 11, because the 12th was the first day of school, which I missed.
Well, there you
go. So this year, now there's been changes pretty much every year at the Expo event. Sometimes they do like virtual queues for things. Other times you just have to line up. And I think what they were trying to get rid of this year, was the lines and people missing out on things. So they decided to hold the big presentations at the Honda Center.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you unfamiliar, is, 4 miles away or something like that?
Yeah, it's very close to the Angel Stadium where the Angels play. And actually, it's the place where the Mighty Ducks play hockey.
Do they still call them the Mighty Ducks?
No, they call them the Ducks. But they're always the Mighty Ducks to me.
Yes. And I had never been there. Had you been there before?
No. Well, I'm sorry. I had been just outside of it within the past year when I was running the half marathon. The half marathon course kind of went adjacent to it. So
that is true.
that was the closest I had ever been, but I'd never been inside.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, even from the Anaheim/LA area, had not been there either. So it was like a new experience for a lot of people, not just us from far away, although you grew up there. So
that's right. Yeah. It's right adjacent to the Santa Ana River and the California Highway 57.
If you're wondering what highway it's near, now you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was interesting for me. Very similar to, I don't know, like our little Kia Center here now, which used to be the Amway Center. And before that, the Arena, right?
That's right. Where the Orlando Magic play.
And there was a giant statue of a Chick-fil-A cow in the Mighty Ducks like goalie outfit. And that was scary to me because it was very tall. But that's unrelated. Anyway, so the part that I enjoyed about this new venue was that you had to select your seats. And while it was an additional cost...
And quite a bit of an additional cost.
Yeah, I really did not enjoy that credit card purchase. But...
Ouch.
I did enjoy, because I have spoken before on this very podcast about how stressful D23 is for me, because you never know, even if I have media credentials, which I've had every time, but they don't guarantee you're going to get in, or they didn't back in the day.
And the time when you are guaranteed the media credentials is really late in the process.
It is. So you kind of have to have a backup plan if you want to go and you aren't sure. I'm never sure because I'm not like a huge outlet or anything like that. You know, I'm just a little guy.
Up the waterfall.
So yeah, we got to, get the word out. So next year we're guaranteed and I don't stress about it. But anyway, I enjoyed the fact that I didn't have to worry about if I was going to get in to see these presentations. I'm pretty sure the year before, whatever, 2 years before, you did not see was it the Parks presentation or
No, I saw the Parks
one?
presentation. It was the movies and animation and all that. Yeah. I did not get into that one last time.
That was a good thing because we knew that we were going to be sitting together. And actually, I did get a media seat for the Parks presentation. So we actually were not together for that. I was by myself. But it was so weird because there was almost no one in that section with me.
Yeah, I should have joined you over there.
Yeah. And when I saw some other people that got media center for the other presentation, the movies and TVs and stuff, TV shows, their section was pretty empty then too. So I don't know.
Weird.
But anyway, I enjoyed that aspect of it. I did not enjoy going to the Honda Center. That was kind of like a cluster, if you will.
Oh.
And there was shuttles that took you over there. We did not want to rely on that. So we had a friend that drove us, right?
To the first
night.
Yeah.
The second night we did do an Uber. And it was just crazy because you had to be dropped off at this other area across the street.
It was not a long walk. It was not a big deal.
No, it wasn't a big deal. It was just like
a lot of traffic.
Timing. Yeah, exactly.
But from what I've heard, the folks who did the shuttles, they were fine.
Really?
I mean, and if you think about the number of folks that they transported essentially from the convention center to this Honda Center in that amount of time, it was pretty seamless. So
yeah, I guess. When we left the first night, when we had the ride back from our friend, the lines for the shuttles scared me a little.
Yeah.
But from what I heard, they did move pretty quickly. Like they had prepared a right number of... Anyway, that's not the exciting part of Expo. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on that, but it was a different experience.
Yeah,
and
it was kind of a big deal.
I think because of that, I was able to just kind of relax the whole time and just like experience it for what it was. And so for me, personally, I had a really great time and I really enjoyed myself at this expo, not to the level of like the 2013, 2015 expos, which in my opinion,
those were amazing.
Were just so much more focused on like past things and super fun Imagineering things. There was a lot more of like reveals and I don't know, fun things to do, scavenger hunts and things like that. which again, we've talked about. You can listen. I think it was the very first podcast.
That was our
actually.
very first podcast. That's right.
Which is also why I wanted to record immediately, because I was going to be like, we're getting back into it and we're doing an expo
which we're
podcast,
doing,
which
just
we're
a little
doing
slightly delayed.
So what did you think of all of the, they didn't really do a lot of movie announcements because the Marvel movie announcements were all moved to Comic-Con.
Right.
So we only got TV.
Yeah, so the only thing that Marvel did specifically was Marvel Television. That's right.
Yeah. Another thing that I did enjoy about the Honda Center presentations were that it was kind of like a multi-sensory experience in that it wasn't just a stage in a convention center. It was a place where they have graphics all around you because there's, events that happen there.
Effects and they did fireworks.
Yeah, lots of pyro. So it just made it more, immersive, I guess.
Yeah, and this, the screens certainly were humongous.
Yes, exactly.
That anybody could see from no matter how far away that they were.
Mm-hmm. So I definitely enjoyed that. And there was, as always at these presentations, nothing is just, here's a trailer. It's always like, some of the cast will come out.
Quite a lot of the cast.
There was a whole Pacific Island dance troupe that came out with Auli'i Cravalho.
That was amazing.
Hopefully I said her name correctly.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's super fun and so excited about everything that she does with Disney and really everything that she does, I think.
Mm-hmm. I met her the one time, the most recent time that I did the cast candlelight processional. She is just absolutely down to earth and just very friendly.
Yeah, super nice. So I just saw an interview of her doing cabaret, and it's so funny because she just kind of got thrust into Moana. She hadn't done anything beforehand, and people, I guess, asked her, have you ever done or do you want to do Broadway? And she didn't know anything about any of that because she had grown up in Hawaii in a small little place. And now she's doing all of these amazing things and she's an amazing actress and singer. And it's really like she's enjoying all of that. And so still down to earth about it. And it was fun to see. Anyway, we love her. So she was there talking about Moana 2 and Moana live action, which she's not in that, right? That's just Dwayne Johnson.
I don't think that she was talking about Moana live action.
What am I thinking of?
She was just talking about Moana 2.
Moana 2?
The sequel to the animated film.
But Moana live action is a thing, right?
It is a thing.
Okay. Well, maybe just Dwayne was talking about that. Dwayne came out and talked about how he loved trucks. Everyone knew that he loved trucks, which I thought was very funny because I did not know he loved trucks. But apparently he drove his truck there and not a limo. So I did not see it in the parking lot personally. But he has a movie coming out called Monster Truck. So we'll have to stay tuned for that one. What else was released or talked about that night?
Well, they mentioned Zootopia, of course.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what's it called? Does it have a funny name?
Zootopia 2, according to D23.
Oh, wait. Zoogether. Something, because I messed that up.
That's the attraction.
The attraction? Oh, okay. My bad.
At Animal Kingdom.
Faux pas.
At Animal Kingdom?
Faux
okay.
pas.
Faux pas.
Get it?
P-A-W. Yes, I remember tweeting or Xing about that. Do people say Xing?
No, they say tweeting.
And I totally did not see that it was better Zoogether, like a zoo instead of together. And I said better together because I couldn't read it on the screen so far away.
Certain folks took umbrage to this.
The Zootopia fans, I will call them just Zootopia fans, came after me on Twitter and were not happy with me. They were like, it's right there on the graphic. And I was like, I'm sorry. Anyway, that's beside the point. I am excited for that area. I do love Zootopia, and I forget now what the trailer for Zootopia 2 looked like, but it seemed funny and fun. I think I enjoyed it at the time.
All of it was amazing.
Who could forget Avatar 3?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now you'll be happy to hear this discussion. They had and now we're straying from the presentations at the Honda Center, but I'm sure you saw, if you saw any D23 coverage, that they had a whole Avatar experience, if you will, on the show floor. And I was going to walk through it just, for fun, but I didn't expect to be impressed by it, because as much as I love Pandora, and I have seen Avatar 1, I'm not super into it. I have not seen the second movie.
Oh, no.
Still, The Way of Water.
You're the one.
But I did walk through that experience without you, actually, because this was before I had gotten in early with the media badge. And so I was doing as much as I could without lines while I could.
Lucky.
I know. And I really, really enjoyed that Avatar experience. It wasn't like anything groundbreaking. Like, they just had silly little things hanging from the ceiling that were like light up and stuff like that.
There was also mist and scents.
Yeah, it did smell exactly like Pandora in Walt Disney World. So that was very fun.
Yeah, because later I joined you and we went back together.
I went back through because the line did move really fast, so I didn't mind seeing it again.
I very much enjoyed that, yeah.
And then at the end of that, they had a huge screen that was, of course, surrounded by landscaping foliage and stuff, so it didn't look like a giant TV screen. And it was playing The Way of Water. And I remember at the time I texted Chris and I said, okay, I actually want to see The Way of Water Avatar 2, because you've been trying to get me to see it in our little home theater for a long time. And I was always just like, I don't care about that. But it really intrigued me and made me want to see it for whatever reason. So they got me, and I still haven't seen it yet. But I've been a little busy. But it's on my list to see for sure. So that was a fun little thing. But they did show us a trailer, or like, was it a trailer or was it like 10 minutes of it?
I think it was like a teaser.
A teaser situation?
I think that one was just concept art.
Oh.
That's right.
Okay.
I didn't even go, I know.
Well, it's all a blur.
It is all very much a blur. I can hardly remember much anything at all.
Yeah. I do remember that at some point people came out in the middle of the floor and they started singing the song from The Greatest Showman. And I feel like seeing it happen in person, everyone around us kind of like didn't know what that was. And I immediately knew it was from The Greatest Showman, but it didn't get kind of the reaction that I thought it would.
Instantly recognized Josh Strickland out there.
Yeah, you did. I did not recognize him at all. But
as one of the performers of that.
The original Tarzan, which we probably talked about in our Disney
the
Broadway.
Original Tarzan on Broadway.
On Broadway.
That's right.
Yes, sorry.
Tony Goldwyn was that.
Tony Goldwyn, famous for Ghost, is the bad guy. That's his title.
He was just misunderstood. But anyway, we're getting away from the topic.
But yes, thank you for telling me that was Josh Strickland, because I was able to tag him on Instagram.
That's right.
And then he re-grammed me. Is that a thing?
It is.
Re-grammed. He did not. He just shared the story.
And then Pixar came out.
Oh, yes.
It was Pixar time.
Lots of announcements there, including Incredibles 3, Toy Story 5.
Toy Story 9, Toy Story
5.
12.
Incredibles 3?
Yeah.
I think I blocked all of this out.
That was the final announcement for the Pixar.
It was just like, they didn't say anything about it, though, right? It was just, okay. That's why. My brain was like, what did you forget now?
Hoppers.
Yes, Hoppers, which Geo actually, I think I sent an image of it to our family group text, and Geo was very aware of the going inside beaver brains or whatever that thing is
this
about.
is not like the name of the bar owned by the villain from Bug's Life. That's not what Hoppers is.
Or the name of the restaurant in the Muppet movie where they serve frog legs.
Ooh, good one.
Or
from the late 70s.
The sheriff from Stranger Things. Right? Is that his name, Hopper? Yeah, okay.
Or Dennis Hopper.
I mean, we could go on and on about Hopper references, I guess. Is it beavers?
Yes.
Okay. So there's some silly little...
John Hamm is in it.
Oh, yeah.
John Hamm and beavers.
So it looked really funny. I don't remember any other Pixar things.
That was basically it. They had a show that I guess they're doing for Disney Plus.
Did they talk about, the pickle thing or something?
The pickle thing. I don't know what that is.
Oh.
Well, there's the one for the Inside Out.
There is the one for Inside Out. That's a different thing.
But then
they
there's
talk about that. And then something
right.
called Win or Lose.
Yeah, that's
what that is.
I think something in that, there's a pickle involved in that show.
So check out Win or Lose for pickles, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's like the name of the team. It's some sort of like baseball.
Yeah, it's a little
situation.
baseball, but it's taking it from all the different vantage points of each of the. Each episode is from a different person's vantage
I'm so
point.
glad people pay attention to these things because I instantly forget everything.
Fun.
But yeah, it was a fun time there. And then
after Pixar was Broadway. And then Lucasfilm.
Broadway. Oh, what was the thing? I was really excited. Oh, the Hercules on Broadway. Super excited for that. So they brought out the Muses.
Oh, yes.
And Hercules.
Hercules will open in the West End.
Yes.
Not on Broadway.
It's in development and it will open on the West End. I can't wait till it comes here. Although maybe we should just all go to London and see it there. That would be very exciting.
Up the waterfall on the road.
Yeah, for sure. Give us your Patreon support now and we can...
We should set one of those up.
But yeah, Hercules, the music in Hercules has always been one of my favorite things. I feel like perhaps that was one of our underrated
very
Disney
much. Yeah.
movies
and
that
I'm
we
sure
talked
we've
about.
talked about it with the the parade that they had at at the old Disney MGM studios, as well as on the Disney Cruise Line.
And they have been doing some predictive programming for this musical, I think, because they did like Hercules live at the Hollywood Bowl, I think, recently, and the Muses were there. And then for, I'm pretty sure it was for Pride Nights at Disneyland, they had the Muses there, and they were all in red, and it was gorgeous.
Awesome.
I love them so much. So yeah, that was exciting. And of course, we're big Broadway fans here as well.
Indeed.
Although I don't know if I'm a Greatest Showman fan, so I don't know if I'm going to see that one. Sorry, guys. Just that's not my jam. But wow, why have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, did you like it?
I very much enjoyed it.
All right.
Sorry.
That was the first movie that director ever made. Fun fact.
Wow.
And his second film is that Robbie Williams Monkey movie.
Coming soon.
Anyway, after that was Lucasfilm.
Okay.
Which I think only had TV shows.
I have no memory of that.
They had season 2 of Andor.
I mean,
Andor is great.
Loved Andor season 1.
Yes.
So I can't wait for that.
And Skeleton Crew. I don't know what that is.
Yes, that one I am excited about.
Oh, wait, that's like the Captain EO one.
Yeah, which I had no idea that was a thing. And then I'm like tweeting like, oh my God.
Yeah, apparently there were tons of little references to old Captain EO.
Like Fuzzball was in the thing. And I'm like, hello.
You recognize that instantly.
I did, but then he is. Hello, little guy. But yeah, and then I was like looking up that like hashtag, and I guess it was like a known fact that it was kind of like pulling from the Captain EO storyline, because there was a little guy that looked like Hooter in there too. But I was just like, well, there's also that elephant in Star Wars, the original Star Wars. Like he looks like an elephant. It's not an elephant, but so I thought that's what it was. And then I saw the Fuzzball.
Perhaps they're all related.
Yes, I think so.
Maybe. Perhaps they're all related.
Maybe. Everything's connected. But yeah, I'm excited for that. And they had at the, on the show floor, they had a little display of characters from that, which did not look like anything from Captain EO, the ones that they had out there. But they had this little like crate with like a little guy in it. And I did an extreme close-up on that.
Very little guy.
You'll have to pull some of the footage that I took for the video that I thought I was going to do. And maybe we can do like a bonus expo footage video, because it would be fun to have some visuals to go along with this. But this is just going to be audio only for right now, everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah, so...
I didn't realize, according to this, that episodes of that some of them are going to be directed by the Daniels, who did Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Ooh. I love that movie.
And then the only other thing that they did was The Mandalorian and Grogu, the film.
That's right.
about The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Feature film.
So there's that.
Did they bring him out on stage? I don't remember that.
Pedro Pascal? No. Or did they?
I don't remember. I don't think the Baby Yoda guy was there, though.
Grogu.
And then it was Marvel time.
Yes. Our pal Kevin came out.
Yeah, they only did TV shows, if I'm not mistaken, for this.
Yeah, that's what I said
They
earlier.
had Captain America as well, according to this.
Although, didn't they... oh, never mind. Keep going.
Yeah, that was the only movie, right? And Anthony is his name,
Mackie?
the actor.
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie, yeah, he came out. He was the only one that came out for a movie because they were moving the focus of movies to Comic-Con specifically.
That's right. Which had just happened.
Correct.
A couple weeks before.
So we were super excited about Agatha all along because I didn't know anything really about what the show was, but we went through, again, going back to the show floor, this was technically the Marvel booth, but it was set up as the TVA from Loki. So you became like a TVA agent, in quotes, as you went through. And then as you did your training, you went through and saw all these doors that were showing different, because in Loki, they go through doors of time to get to
portals.
different areas. So behind the doors, you could see kind of like different Marvel characters that were just like mannequin kind of things. Like it wasn't, like a moving thing or anything. But at the very end of that, when you were leaving, they had a bunch of costumes and everything from Agatha all along. So that was when I personally discovered that it was like a bunch of witches involved. Yeah. So that made me more excited for it because I love witchy anything. Being from Massachusetts, of course, it's kind of ingrained in me with Salem and all that stuff. The time. So I was very excited when they then came out. It was Catherine Hahn and then basically everyone that's in the show who are all
like Patty
witches.
Lupone was there.
Yeah, like I had no idea Patty Lupone was like in the show. And yeah, it was really cool. And Aubrey Plaza. And then it was interesting to see, not having seen the show, and I don't want to give any spoilers away.
Yeah, because we're currently watching that.
Right. But we're caught up.
We are caught up.
But I don't want to spoil anything for anyone else. But there is one character that was on the stage at D23 that wasn't singing along to the little Witches Road song. And I was just like, what's up with that? But then you find out in the show why she's not singing. So that was interesting to like put together after the fact, which I love when they do that kind of stuff. Oh, yes. It makes it more, interesting and intriguing and makes people want to tune in. So what were some of the other shows that they talked about though? Because I don't remember.
Daredevil, Born Again, and Ironheart are the only other shows.
Oh yeah. Those both looked very good. I have not watched Daredevil at all, but we did see Daredevil in the Hawkeye crossover episode or whatever, right? That was what that was in?
Mm-hmm.
And it looks very interesting. It's just I keep forgetting that we need to watch it.
Yeah, and it's all on Disney Plus. From what I understand, it's amazing. Probably some of the best stuff they've ever done.
Yeah.
But also pretty violent.
Yeah.
Oops.
Well, Disney Plus is not what it was 3 years ago. It's now been invaded by Hulu.
Right, but this is Marvel goodness.
Yes, exactly. Well, when we're done with Agatha, then we can catch up on all the other stuff.
Sign me up.
The only other stuff that they talked about was Captain America, Brave New World.
Yes.
And the Fantastic Four.
Oh,
First, the little teaser. Yeah.
Yes, which they're currently filming in London, right?
Right, but I think
or they
for
were when
that, the cast came out.
Well,
including...
For Fantastic Four?
I thought.
No, they were live by satellite because we're literally filming it right then.
Wow. Well, they seemed like they were right there.
Or it was a pre-recorded thing. I don't know.
That would have been like...
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yes. But Anthony Mackie did come out to do the Captain America thing, which, wow, that movie was very intense.
Yeah.
it was kind of like reminiscent of Civil War to me, in that you didn't know like who in power was good or evil, etc. So that'll be interesting.
I especially like that movie too, just because there were so many characters, there was so much action, and a lot of different conflicts that you wouldn't have thought there would have been.
Yes.
So.
And they had revealed, this is not a spoiler because it was revealed at Comic-Con first, that Harrison Ford is the Red Hulk or whatever, which was like, I had like seen a clip of it before, but I didn't know what it meant or anything or what it was from because I wasn't really paying attention. So seeing that in the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh.
And of course he was on hand because he was there to be given the Disney Legend Award.
Live on Sunday night.
That's right.
And did that kind of wrap up the
That was
TV?
the end of Marvel.
Okay.
Then they had Disney Entertainment Television, which had Rick Riordan came out for Percy Jackson.
Oh, right. That was weird and awkward, in my opinion.
Well, they were catering to all different fans.
No, I think it was awkward because it was...
Descendants 3.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it was...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Rita Ora was there, and she sang her little song. That was very cute.
That's right.
Our little pal Henry is a big fan of Descendants Rise of Red, so he was very excited to see Rita Ora
He's not
singing.
the only one.
But no, the Rick Riordan thing was just awkward because he was like, I'm Rick Riordan, I'm an author, and here are these teens next to me. And it was just like weirdly scripted and stuff. So that was funny.
After that was David Blaine.
Oh, yeah, that whole thing.
Which was its own thing.
It was its own thing, which I'm sure you can Google and see what happened.
I enjoyed that.
We did try to recreate the card trick, by the way, at home. I think you weren't here. It was you and Geo, right?
Yeah.
And we could not do it. So then we thought the cards were like very specifically
They were very
ordered
specifically in
when
order.
you opened them.
I deliberately shuffled it before doing it.
Yeah.
Because if in his instructions, at no point were we supposed to shuffle them, and we were supposed to take them out exactly as is and do it from that. So
I mean, it was very impressive at the time.
It was all very impressive.
It's just you can never recreate it unless you put the cards exactly how they were. Who knows how that was? But it was fun. Like I've never, seen him in person. So
yeah,
he's still out there making magic.
After that was live action.
Live
Starting
action.
with Mufasa.
Oh, right. Okay, so I know I think we talked before about how unfortunate the live action Lion King was.
I don't know that we ever
Maybe
have.
not. Maybe that was just in my head.
I think it must have been.
But I was not a huge fan of that when I did see it.
A lot of people think, why does it even need to exist? But a lot of people think that about a lot of
here's the thing. I did really enjoy most of the live action Jungle Book, which is kind of what launched all of these live action reboot
even before
things.
that, Cinderella.
Yeah, that's true. But that's like real people anyway. Like Jungle Book is talking animals. So although there are mice in Cinderella. But
they are both directed by Jon Favreau.
Exactly.
Who's not doing Mufasa.
That's true.
That's going to be directed by Barry Jenkins?
Yes, he did Moonlight in the past.
Okay, so it did look really good, and I was very interested and intrigued in this more than I ever was with the live-action Lion King.
Well, I mean, but also it's not just a live-action retelling of an
it's
animated
a new
movie
story
that we already know. It's basically a new story about about Mufasa and Scar growing up and who becomes king.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the song.
Featuring Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I just was remembering it at the same time. That song, I wonder if it's been like somehow released because I was like looking it up when I got home.
Well, it's in the trailer.
Is it?
Yeah. That part of the song.
My brother.
That like
I always wanted a
brother. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very Lin-Manuel Miranda coded. I mean, because it is, but it's just very funny because it sounds like, all the songs that he does, which we kind of poke fun at him for, but will there be mention of a hurricane? Who's to say? I don't think there was in the clip that we saw.
How many times is Mufasa going to say, "Hey, yo"?
Well, he does have a British accent for some reason. So, I mean, because Jeremy Irons did. So, but I hope that they do explain how Mufasa was going to be king because like that was they make it seem like
Scar was going to be king.
Oh yeah, that's right. So that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, and how it transitioned from that to Mufasa. Because Mufasa apparently he was found.
Exactly, which makes no sense to the original movie.
It definitely, as a concept, does not make a lot
do you
of
have
sense,
to
I guess we'll see.
suspend disbelief and this is like a new telling or something like that?
With a lot of Disney movies.
He was just so nice that they were like,
you need to suspend disbelief.
Yeah. So. Interesting. Maybe he well, we'll just have to watch
Speaking of suspending disbelief. After that was Snow White.
Yeah, we can just pop over that one.
Then there was Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah, the live action Lilo and Stitch, which
they didn't really show anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really remember. I know have released an image of what Stitch is going to look like, and I can't remember if I liked it or not. But
I thought it looked fun.
I might be confusing that with the Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my! Thing
that happened. But I don't know. That's another one that I'm just kind of like, did it need to be made into a live action movie? I mean, the music is great. Are they keeping the music in it? I don't know. I don't think they said. Yeah, it just kind of looks like a fuzzy Stitch guy. But will he have the same weird, silly Chris Sanderson voice? Sanders. I always say Sanderson.
He's not a Sanderson sister.
And then this was when they did Dwayne Johnson Monster Truck Time.
Oh, okay.
And Freakier Friday.
That's right. They announced the name.
A lot of people went nuts over it. And I guess, it just depends on what age group you are. A lot of people, grew up with that Freaky Friday movie.
Oh, yeah. So
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan were all there. People went nuts when they came out.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure it'll be great.
But was it more or less nuts than Tron?
Oh, I would say Tron was absolute bonkers.
Yeah. And
I mean, I'm a huge Tron.
I was
the original Tron fan. Tron Legacy, I love it all.
Yes.
And so, when that all came out, wow.
I was a little worried about the music because how can you top Daft Punk?
That is very, very true.
And then at the end, they said 9 Inch Nails. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was freaking out.
But then, of course, Jeff Bridges came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's classic Jeff Bridges. And his character.
The Jeff Bridges.
But, his character, Flynn from the original Tron, 1982. I mean, that is a long. That character has been around now for a long time.
I feel like that should be one of your fun facts that like the only person to play the same character across 3 decades or something like that. More than that now, right?
Right, but
the movies have come out in 3 different decades.
Interesting.
I'll have to look at that. But then forget that for the trivia night.
Also, the movie, people were noting that it makes no mention of the Olivia Munn character.
Oh, right.
That's who that was, right? Olivia Munn.
Olivia Wilde.
Olivia Wilde. This is why we have you here to correct me when I'm just spouting off names that
Olivia
are incorrect.
Munn, Mrs. John Williams.
Cora was her name.
Yes, exactly. Cora. And even that guy, Flynn's son, is not in the new movie.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Whole new cast of characters. I don't know. It happens, I guess. That was, I'm now remembering. So Jeff Bridges came out and he was just kind of like, mumbling and incoherently kind of. And then Jared Leto came out and he was just got much more cheering, and because he kind of commanded, he put his arms up. It was like, yes, worship me kind of guy. So I just thought that was funny because Jeff Bridges was there and he, arguably should have been a more famous person.
It would have been it would have been more fun if they had brought everyone except him out, and then as a fun surprise,
right,
had brought him out too.
Oh well, what are you gonna do?
And that was the end of that.
Okay.
Which we kind of spent a lot of time talking about.
We kind of really did.
For the experiences showcase.
Yes.
They have a top 10 announcements.
Okay. Well, before we get into that, I just want to say that and I believe I tweeted this as well, the graphics and everything that they did for the experiences presentation, which they called Horizons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything about that and the music that they used was impeccable, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they made it kind of a musical presentation.
Yeah.
That was the whole kind of kick.
It was just beautiful, and I wish that the team that was in charge of those graphics and that part of the presentation could be in charge of everything to do with Epcot, because it was just such a nice throwback to the original Epcot, like the color scheme and the designs. And it was just like simplistic and beautiful. And yeah, I just loved it. And then, the announcements actually happened. So,
well, number one on the list is the expansion of Disney Cruise Line.
oh, right. I would like to put a pin in that because I feel like we could talk about the cruise line on its own. There's just so much to discuss.
Yeah. Essentially, they added new ships.
Yeah.
That's
So, like, they did a whole thing where they are adding 4 more ships, right? They had
I thought they did
4
it in
for
a
one.
fun way where
It
they
was very fun.
had all for one.
All for one. Yes. So we'll talk
Come
about
out and
that
sing
more
about it.
Yeah,
in
they tried
depth
to do a
next
Steve
week, I think.
Jobs iPhone announcement type.
Right. Exactly.
And then Monsters, Inc. at Hollywood Studios.
Ah, yes.
Now, this is, of all of the things, this is the one where it originally came out, actually probably at least 20 years ago, though, when it first was leaked. And I actually saw a concept of this on the original Hub, kind of a cast member internal website where it accidentally got leaked on there. But that was over 20 years ago. And so that rumor had come and gone many, many times.
Now they're like, no one remembers this.
Well, no, people have remembered, and it's always been a rumor because the door scene from the original
Right.
Monsters Inc. has always just kind of lended itself out to like, oh my gosh, this would be an amazing ride. And so they finally announced it.
Yeah.
Coming to Hollywood Studios. We're not exactly sure where.
Well, I think the consensus is probably Muppet area, right?
Possibly.
And
It's either that or where the launch bay is now.
Launch Bay. Oh, right.
animation
Which,
courtyard.
in my opinion, go there, please. Because here's the thing. I love Muppets, as you all know. I love Muppet Vision 3D. I'm kind of okay if it has to go because, nothing is forever. I would love it to stay. But what I would hate to leave more, and this is going to sound terrible to a lot of people, is Mama Melrose.
Oh, yeah.
It's the most underrated restaurant
I love it.
in Walt Disney World Resort. And I feel like it's so easy for them to just bulldoze that whole area because of that. But it's such a good place and it's so fun and like original MGM vibes, which are so
That's
hard to
true.
come by there and like Brown Derby and then the sci-fi, and which, sci-fi isn't what it once was as far as food goes anymore. And
It's still a great concept.
yeah, I don't know. It's just, I feel like they are going to get rid of it because that whole section is very easy to, like that Studio One store where the Muppet stuff is never open anymore.
Yeah.
Even Pizza Rizzo is like, they close at 5 p.m., which is like, hello, you're a restaurant for dinner.
Well, as far as Muppet Vision 3D goes, as it has been transported to other parks around the country,
Right.
it's
but
possible
it's closing
it
in
could.
DCA too, though.
Right, but what I was getting at is it could be moved.
I suppose.
It could be, doesn't necessarily have to be exactly there.
Yeah.
It could be brought back somewhere else.
They probably
Or
won't,
improved
though.
somehow.
Yeah,
we'll
it would
see.
be great if they, I mean, actually, I don't want them to update it because that's the last
Yeah. That was
Jim
the last thing
Henson,
Jim Henson worked on.
Kermit voice. So as long, maybe, if they would let you watch it on Disney Plus, I'd be fine with that. Although the experience is great. The theater
because
itself
it
is
is
great. And they did just
4D.
redo the seats in the theater. So it'd be like throwing money away if they close that place down. What's next?
We'll
I
see.
wanted to say quickly on the ride itself. It's so funny to me that everyone's like, that would be such a great ride. Because I feel like every Disney animated film has that one scene that's like, this would make a great ride. Like the Aladdin magic carpet through the, whatever that's called, the Cave of Wonders. And Emperor's New Groove, when you're going down the thing, not that lever, Kronk. Every animated film has a scene that you're like, this would make a great ride. So it's funny to me that Monsters, Inc. has always been the one that stood out like, we need a roller coaster.
I think that one's just probably the best example of all of that.
I guess.
Plus, with all the different...
Maybe the easiest to execute.
But also with all the different portals that they went to, because that was the whole idea of, each door went to a different location around the world. That just kind of lends itself to being so unique and
it would be
fun.
A great dark ride.
Yeah.
Because if you're zooming through and seeing
it already is a great dark ride.
That's true.
In multiple places. So we shall see what they do with that.
Yes.
Next up was Cars in Magic Kingdom.
Yes. This is what I thought most of our episode today would be about. Because we haven't really personally discussed our opinions on this.
Well, it must be said that they did not, at the presentation, talk about specifically what was being sacrificed for this.
Right.
And so that only really came out later, that essentially what we now know of as Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island at Magic Kingdom in Florida, essentially that whole area is becoming this kind of road rally attraction for Cars. So they're not redoing what we now know of as Cars Land in California Adventure, but it's the same kind of idea as Cars going through a road rally with a bunch of waterfalls and hills and all kinds of fun things.
Which is not a thing that ever happens in Cars.
Well, not in the movie, but there's all kinds of possibilities.
I can't believe you're not talking about the loss of your beloved Tom Sawyer Island.
Well, what's funny is that I guess I had just gone to Tom Sawyer Island at Disneyland like 4 days before and just really done it up. And I just absolutely love that. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Tom Sawyer Island. I see it both ways. It's not a place that a lot of people go to. But to me, it's vital in that not everything needs to be an e-ticket attraction. Not everything needs to be like, please me now, like make it bigger, grander, better.
No, I agree.
It's a place that even just seeing it, experiencing it, not necessarily even from the island, but just seeing the boats going by. That's essentially also part of your day at the parks.
Yeah. And
it's kind of more low-key, more calming, more pleasing. And as being a big fan of national parks, I'm a huge fan of natural spaces, water, and things like that. And I think, we can't just necessarily think of it as these areas being destructed, because I'm 100% certain that they're going to make sure to include nice green spaces as well.
Like in Toy Story Land. All that shade they have over there.
Well, possibly.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah. I have confidence or hope, at least, that they will make it a space that has something for everyone. And it's not just going to be, bulldozed and full of cement. I think the fact that they're making it like a rustic road rally kind of place, and the fact that Cars Land in California Adventure is so beautiful and such a success, hopefully, the same quality and the same love and attention go into it here. I hope.
I also hope that. And also, and who's to say exactly how they're going to make it, but I hope that one of the features that they have about it will be something that's similar to the Grizzly River Run in California Adventure, in that it's something that you could physically completely walk all the way around. Right. And who's to say? Because it's probably going to take a huge footprint.
Yeah.
And maybe, but with the addition of another portion of the park that we're going to be talking about later, you definitely will be able to go all the way around in some way between essentially where Splash Mountain or, sorry, Tiana's riverboat.
Tiana's riverboat, Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Big Thunder Mountain. Essentially, there's going to be a back way to connect all of that to where Haunted Mansion is now because of the other expansion that we're going to be talking about later. But what I'm hoping is that specifically that there will be a way to go all the way around this road rally attraction.
Right.
And that featured along that area in various locations will be nice nature paths, green, trees, waterfalls, and things like that, where you also be able to get some really great views of that attraction as well. Who's to say? Because it's very early in the process.
Yeah.
But yes, it is tough to see a loss of, to me, what is of a big part of Frontierland. And also, that whole thing. So
that whole thing.
With the riverboats and Tom Sawyer Island and all of that.
Did hear someone, I forget who now, talking about it and saying that they were okay with Walt Disney World's Tom Sawyer Island going away. But if the same were to happen in Disneyland, that would be
That sounds like something that I would have said.
Because Walt basically designed.
Walt actually designed the Tom Sawyer Island.
But he never stepped foot in our Tom Sawyer Island here in Florida. So with that argument, it's easier to get rid of that. But I really do hope that they still have boat. Yeah. Some kind of boat situation on there.
Yeah, because if you think about where Disneyland Paris, they have essentially a river attraction, with Big Thunder Mountain being right in the middle of all of that. Yeah. It is possible to have something completely in the middle.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
It would be fun if they did it that way. Of course, being in Florida, it's hard to dig down.
That is true.
So maybe, but we'll see. But also, it being the same type of attraction as what we know of as Test Track, and Radiator Springs Racers.
Right.
That has, some limited capacities based on weather. And of course, us being in Florida, that could certainly come up and will come up quite a lot. So who's to say if this attraction will go down a lot because of, frequent afternoon thunderstorms and things like that.
Good point.
But then additionally, I guess that expansion is actually 2 attractions. There's the road rally attraction as well as a smaller attraction.
Do you think it'll be like Mater's Junkyard Jamboree?
I don't think it'll be. Nothing's going to be exact, meaning an exact copy of something else being brought over. But I'd like to think it would be a little bit different than that. Well, who's to say?
Who is to say? Probably some Imagineers.
Probably.
All right.
So, yeah, I do have a lot to say about that.
What's the next?
Well, before we get on to the other few big things, we can get smaller stuff out of the way. The Epic Games collaboration. I know you're all excited about that.
It was very exciting to see happen. The Fortnite people.
Oh, yeah. That's right, with the different characters.
They added all the Disney characters and Pixar characters and stuff.
Marvel and Star Wars.
Which to me, having a almost 16-year-old is very reminiscent of Disney Infinity.
Yeah. Which
came out, 10 years ago, I guess, and is no more. But now everything's in a digital space. There's no physical little figures.
Yeah, Fortnite's kind of a big thing for Disney now.
The Avengers experiences, quote unquote, in California, Shanghai, and Hong Kong.
Oh, yes. So the thing that was going to be the Quinjet attraction is, I think, maybe still they went back to doing that, but now it's like a multiverse situation with King Thanos from another universe or something.
From some multiverse, right?
Avengers Infinity Defense. That's what it's called.
So the one
name.
Yes, it sounds
that's the one at California Adventure, right?
Home alarm system.
Oh yeah.
Right, but then there's, because you had specifically mentioned Shanghai and Hong Kong, but then of course there's the expansion at California Adventure where they're finally adding essentially the e-ticket attraction.
That's what I was just talking about.
Right, but I mean, before that we were talking about Hong Kong and Shanghai.
Well, he just lumped all of the Avengers expansions together.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And of course the Stark.
Let me go.
Stark Flight Lab.
Oh yeah.
Well, one of the big things about that is, of course, they have since announced one of the casualties of this attraction is the red car trolley at California Adventure, which was a very lovely part of the great expansion when they did the Buena Vista Street.
Why is that?
Which was very authentic. Well, I think it's
just where they put them.
I believe it is where that's housed, and so I don't. Have they announced that it is closing and will not come back? Correct. Because I would think that they would be able to simply.
If they just had one trolley and it just went back and forth, and at the end of the night they just left it at the end of the thing, and it doesn't need a little barn to go to.
Right.
I don't know.
But it would be nice if they were to build some place to do that, even if it were on the other side, towards the entrance of the park. But
you got a hotel there too.
I think people are forgetting that this also kills the Newsy show.
That's been gone for like 5 years. I was just going to say, we already had to lose the Newsies show. Yeah. Five and Dime still comes out in the car. I didn't see them at all when we were there most recently, actually. But the Newsies and the Newsy Mickey guy have been a thing for a while.
On our most recent trip, we, of course, took some more trips on the red car trolley as a result.
We have our memories.
And then the Lion King stuff at Walt Disney Adventure Park.
Formerly the Studios Park in Paris.
Oh, right. I kind of tuned out for that because...
I think it's just the Lion King land.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. We saw the big model of it and everything. And then there was some
a fun flume attraction.
Confusion because they had talked about live animals being there. And then Disneyland Paris was like, no. There will not be live animals, and we have not started.
We learned that lesson back when Walt originally wanted the original Jungle Cruise to have live animals.
And that turned into Jurassic Park.
And then the first ever Walt Disney
animatronic, yes.
That's right.
Very controversial.
That'll be located where the Mr. Lincoln is now, but they said that they're still going to keep Mr. Lincoln, and that they will kind of go back and forth
between, which will be very interesting to see. I just don't know. I
trust them to do it just right.
I've talked on here before about those videos of animatronics freaking out and acting up in Carousel of Progress, etc. Just like really bother me personally.
That bothers me very much too.
I'm not a cast member. I feel like protective of that when that happens.
So it bothers you from like a ruining the magic kind of sense, not like creepy kind of thing.
If things go awry,
I think it's also creepy because they have, as of yet, never been able to really recreate Walt in any way that is realistic to me. Like,
other than Tom Hanks appearing in
even that
in that movie.
I mean, it's Tom Hanks,
right?
Like,
but I mean,
it does not.
But what I'm saying is, other than his portrayal of Walt Disney in Saving Mr. Banks, there really isn't any other.
Well, I mean, there's been little things here and there.
I mean, yes, little things, but that's kind of been the big one.
Yeah,
and there's of course been no animatronic up till now.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that they're saying it's the most technologically advanced, but we come from the Hall of Presidents side of the world, and the most recent 2 presidents there have not been very realistic looking.
Avatar coming to California.
Oh yeah, that's another one that I'm like, where is this going to go?
That Okay, this was probably the first announcement that they did. And this one had me
Nervous?
concerned because my initial thoughts were, well, I would think that they would essentially replace Grizzly River Rapids with that, just because it's a natural environment. But from what I understand, that's not where it's going, which to me is good, because to me that should stay.
Where else is there?
From what I understand, it's essentially where
expansion
Hollywood Studios is, which is if you think about it, where the Monsters Inc. attraction is now.
And
that corner.
Their Muppets already left, and it's PhilharMagic there.
Right. And so really, other than that stage that they have there and the Monsters Inc. attraction,
and that weird
there's really
warehouse
not
of
much
Marvel stuff.
going on in that corner.
Right.
And schmoozies.
Interesting. And we don't know what kind of attraction it's going to be.
There's really been no announcement. But I mean, the problem with that location is, like, and honestly, I think they could actually expand it. They could expand the footprint of that to take over what is now being used as the Toy Story parking lot shuttle. You know, essentially move the park back farther to get some more space.
Wow.
And kind of relocate that whole thing, which would, of course, there's a lot of logistics involved.
Yeah. It's so crazy to me because, like, we've been to Disneyland quite a bit recently, frequently, and it's so crowded. I can't imagine them wanting to bring more people in to see these new attractions.
But that's the whole point of all this. It's not necessarily to bring in more people, but you just got to keep updating things.
I guess.
And of course, certain
Disneyland
things will be
not
lost.
A museum.
That's right.
So what is California themed about Avatar?
I think, that's what people are saying. And Cars takes place in what? Utah or Arizona or something, right?
It's on Route 66, which includes California. But that specific Radiator Springs is more like
They at least
Arizona.
have a West Coast state of mind.
It's more Arizona and New Mexico.
With the naming of the Disney studios in Paris as Disney Adventure or something, Adventure World, maybe they will change this name to Disney Adventure. Yeah, Disney Adventureland. That would be funny. Because people have said that a lot about other things in DCA already, I think. What else is in
Marvel.
Well,
you can kind of suspend
like the Marvel.
That, they're hanging out in California for some reason. Even though it's not really themed that way.
It's not really, But I mean, the pier, what used to be Paradise Pier, which is now Pixar
but now
Pier.
it's Pixar, so it
but
doesn't
still,
San Francisco is the only thing that really makes sense.
And Buena Vista Street.
Right. I mean, of the pier stuff.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, there's enough still in the park to have it keep the name. I don't think that they're going to try to this actually took place in California.
No, I know.
There's really no way around
But
that.
we thought that they were going to rename Hollywood Studios too, and they still haven't done that.
Yeah.
So also coming to, is it California Adventure
California
still?
Adventure, yeah.
So that's right. There was no additional things for Disneyland except for the Walt animatronics. So also coming to DCA is the Coco boat ride, which people were really scratching their heads on where that was going to go.
I think if you think about where Toy Story Midway Mania is and how it snakes underneath.
Oh yeah, I've never been on that.
The roller coaster. There are ways to do that also. And there's land under.
I did hear people.
The Pixar Pier area?
No,
I didn't know that.
No, we don't know. It has not been announced. But I'm saying it could go there.
It could go underneath the World of Color water.
Yeah. Who's to say?
Who is to say? We're just really hoping personally that they don't get rid of the Redwood challenge area, which they probably will. And you don't want. I really don't think they'll get rid of the water ride, Grizzly River Ride.
I really would prefer that.
I think they will get rid of the play area.
Because
you think for that?
I don't know if I don't think it's a big enough footprint, but I
don't think it's
there because it's a Pixar thing.
Yeah,
it could go where the Goofy flying school thing is.
That's a tiny footprint, but it could also be used there. Yeah, because they could also take over that restaurant that you like so much back there,
which is good, but it's really big.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Time will tell.
There are places that I can go, and
But then
look forward
there's
to
also
seeing it.
the tropical Americas.
Yes.
At
So
Animal Kingdom.
I am totally A-okay with this.
Me too.
I don't know if our friends Matt and Katie will be listening, but I'm okay with dinosaur turning into Indiana Jones. I'm sorry, guys.
I mean,
Don't hate me.
I've enjoyed Dinosaur. I was actually the very first person to ride it on the opening day of Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, I feel like we recently talked about, well, not recently because it's been over a year, but dinosaur in some, like we talked about how it was Countdown to Extinction briefly when it first opened, and I was too scared to go on it, and also pregnant, did not know at the time, and I was like, what if I'm pregnant? I shouldn't ride this, and I didn't because of that, but then I found out I was pregnant. Anyway, yeah, I can probably count on one hand the number of times I've been on Dinosaur. I'm not a fan of dinosaurs. I don't like things trying to eat me.
I could also count on one hand the number of times I've ridden it, but I would have to go through the fingers many times.
Can I reveal
because
something
it's
to you
been
guys
hundreds.
right now?
You've never been on it?
I've never been on that ride.
It's fun, but I mean, of course,
you should go before
it's
it
the
closes,
same.
just so you can say.
It's the same kind of attraction as the Indiana Jones Adventure.
But you don't think that when you're on it.
California.
Well, so here's the question that I have, though. The new thing that's going there, is that just the California?
No,
No, it's a new storyline.
and that was the thing. I think they've finally embraced this. They're no longer going to essentially put the exact same attraction that already exists in one park in another park.
Interesting.
So
I wish they had reached that conclusion before doing Galaxy's Edge.
I agree. I fully agree with that. But anyway, so it is actually the same ride layout as the Indiana Jones Adventure in California.
But it is a new story. Does it say in there the name of the attraction?
I can't remember.
I feel like it's a Mayan temple situation.
They've talked about
A thrilling adventure following the heroic Indiana Jones into an ancient Maya temple. That is all it says.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's all they said in there. I just didn't know if they did the name.
And
or not,
honestly,
but
I think the one in Tokyo, it seems to me to be
The Crystal
themed
Skull
to
or something?
Maya, from the Maya. It's
well,
in
there's
that
only so many
same realm.
ancient civilizations to pull from,
That
and
is
we're
true.
trying to do tropical
That is
Americas. So
not true.
I'm just kidding.
But I'm just saying,
But they're doing the tropical Americas, so it kind of has to be on this side of the hemisphere or whatever. I'm, excited about that.
I also am excited.
I am sad to see Chester and Hester's
that's
store go away. I always
a lot of
enjoyed
fun.
we were just there recently to get our magnet and, perusing. It's so crazy. Like that was one of maybe the last really just like Imagineering overload detail things. And they just were like,
with
and it's
fun.
not that it's like a
dinosaur
Disney,
theming.
it's like an original, just I guess Route 66 type of theming.
roadside attraction kind of a situation.
Yeah, and just like combining that with a dinosaur archaeological dig area or something,
Joe Rohde just the other day said that he went to Restaurantosaurus like super recently. Just
What
to
did he
take a bunch
think?
of pictures of it
Oh, yeah.
to have for reference for the future.
Yeah, that I was going to say is another place full of great details. If you haven't yet, if you're listening and you haven't been, you should just walk through there and that store before January, whatever it's closing, I think January 15th. They said it's probably not in that announcement.
Tons
but
of little details all throughout both of those
and
places.
when Restaurantosaurus opened, it was a buffet, wasn't it?
No.
With Donald.
No. It was originally
A regular sit-down restaurant?
Yeah, but it was had the McDonald's.
Oh, that was the McDonald's thing? Okay. So after McDonald's left, then it became a buffet. And that's when we went a lot, but you guys were babies, so you probably don't remember. But Donald would come around in his little dinosaur outfit. And it was a lot of fun. And then now or not now, but like for a long time, it's reverted back to like burgers and fries kind of thing. But the details, the decor is unchanged. So you can just roam through and see all these crazy photos and like so many puns and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So it's a fun place to explore and it will be missed.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to, bulldoze all of that, if any of it will end up in the archives, because it's not really like Disney specific, but it is Imagineering specific.
I know that archives, they basically go in there. They have they're able to pick and choose
red tag things,
the things
that
they get to keep.
Yeah. The rest of the things from that, the Madrigal house.
Yes.
Very excited for
from
that.
Encanto.
Casita. And
it'll be a living casita.
Yeah, basically
like
the house will come alive to help you on your journey it's the day that Antonio is going to get his gift.
Yeah.
And so that is very exciting for me because, as you may recall, he gets to talk to animals, which is my dream in life. I feel like they can understand me when I get close to them.
Certainly Redmond can.
And so you get to go through the different areas and you'll end up like in the tropical rainforest behind his door.
Yeah. So both of these attractions, I think the theme is just phenomenal. And there's a lot that they'll be able to add to this. And it'll be just an amazing place to be.
Yeah. And also that carousel that they
that's right.
had, that one carousel animal in the reveal part of Imagineering on Sunday, which was beautiful. The story behind it is that the wood carver has carved all of these creatures from his favorite Disney stories, which is funny because, Disney reaches everywhere, including the tropical Americas.
That's true.
And ancient wood carvers. So they had a Kevin, the bird Kevin from Up, carving as one of the carousel non-horses. And yeah, those look really cool. It's a very fun style, art style for that. And I can't remember if there was I guess restaurants were announced. There's going to be like at least 2 restaurants and stuff, but they didn't get specific with that in stores. Yeah. So excited for that. It is, of course, going to take a long time to build, as will...
Set to open 2027.
Yeah, and the Magic Kingdom stuff as well. Like, we're going to lose the train for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Which we did for so long with Tron, the 5 years.
Wow, that's funny. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The train will go
I imagine the train will need to go down for both the Cars Road Rally
and the
as
Beyond
well as
Thunderdome stuff.
Which is...
As well as the go ahead.
The Villains area, which...
what they initially called it the area beyond Big Thunder Mountain.
Big Thunder Mountain, which is why I say Beyond Thunderdome, because that's funny.
Oh, haha. Now I get
with
it.
Mad Max,
wow.
Which would be a fun... Anyway, the concept art that they showed for the Villains thing is very interesting to me because I just don't understand how it's going to cohesively make any sort of sense at all, which I guess you kind of, Magic Kingdom in general is that way. I mean, they've tried over the years to be like, oh, this is Cinderella Castle and this is, Beast's Castle and stuff like that. But like right down the street next door is Ariel's Grotto and stuff like that, which I get that it's,
Yes. And I'm sure the entryway from either side will be, essentially like you're transporting out of Magic Kingdom,
right,
and into this ominous realm.
And I know that this has been in the ether for at least 2 decades or more. I remember them talking about it after Animal Kingdom was built, talking about a 5th gate.
Oh yeah.
And wanting it to be villains themed. But I feel like what I thought when I saw the concept art, which I know it's just concept art, this is just me sharing my thoughts. But it really did seem like a reaction to the Epic Universe, Universal Monsters area.
Interesting.
Which I don't know how
I am not
you are up to
familiar
date
with that
on that
at all. I have not looked at that at all. To me, it resembled, I'd say, more Maleficent.
Right, who is arguably one of the darkest villains,
and
without counting Chernabog.
Honestly, I think Chernabog would feel right at home here.
That's true. The weather is very Chernabog-like. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I feel like they're in very, very, very early stages, and we'll probably honestly see because Epic Universe is going to open, next year, I feel like they'll probably see that place and maybe make some changes. I know you don't like to hear about that because you only want to talk about Disney, but it is,
it's a thing.
They've done.
If I may,
yes,
the 2 cents that I have on this little area is that I think of everything that they've announced, that seems like the thing that will just kind of be forgotten in the years to come and just kind of like not really ever come together for cost reason, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Just because it's a separate thing off to the side.
Right.
They haven't said where exactly it's going to land on the map.
Yeah.
And I do kind of agree that it seems kind of in response to Epic Universe, at least why they're doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't see how it kind of all comes together into something that's actually cohesive in a small enough footprint to just kind of be like a land.
Well, here's the thing. I do know that this has been on the drawing boards for a very long time.
I said that to start out.
But I'm saying they've announced that this is happening. There's absolutely no way that this won't happen. And there is plenty of land back there.
But how are we going to get home? That's where we drive to get home.
They can move roads. We don't even use that road anymore. They've built other roads to make it so that road isn't even really needed anymore.
Right. I just, I don't know how it's going to, I know that they lump all the villains together in show form. They always get together in Phantasmic and are like, oh, let's get these guys kind of thing. But I don't know. It feels like to make something like that happen and make it make sense and be the best land it could be, like to its fullest potential, it would need a lot more space and a lot more money and time.
But here's the thing. If you take the train now from in between the Frontierland station to essentially the Toontown area, or
Storybook Circus.
Exactly. Storybook Circus land. You'll see there is plenty of land. It can go beyond.
I'm not talking about land.
But I'm saying they have the ability, and I actually trust the Imagineers to make it the best land. I don't necessarily think it's in response to Epic Universe. But
okay, I'm not saying I was talking about the concept art specifically.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to look like
that.
The concept
feel
art
was in response to that, because they were leaning into the darkness aspect of it, in my opinion, and how
it is villains' land,
right? But how
it will be dark.
Arguably, the villains in park form and even entertainment form are pretty bumbling, and
that is true. But honestly, I don't think you're going to find those characters necessarily just walking from, say, Fantasyland to this area.
Right.
I think just the way that they treat Batuu or Galaxy's Edge, and you don't see Star Wars merchandise or things like that you would find near Star Tours in the Galaxy's Edge. I think they're going to treat it as its own entity and essentially keep things intact in just that one area.
But
there's plenty of time. There's going to be they will develop it just the way that it should be.
Okay.
And
should we make a bet right now?
A bet on what?
How good the land is.
Sure.
When it comes to fruition and all. No, I'm just kidding. No, I understand that, you have faith and trust in the Imagineers. I don't know. I don't know how far they will go to make it something that I think the people that want a villain's land want it to be scary and dark and not something that you're going to go to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and then walk over there with the same little girl and, not be petrified. I don't know. It's Magic Kingdom. Maybe they won't go that route.
But I mean, I think since it's such a huge land, it'll be similar to some of the big lands, as I mentioned, like Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is its own thing. And there's really nothing that like just magically kind of wanders into there. There's no even signage that says, "Hey, you are entering Galaxy's Edge." There's nothing like that. Same with Diagon Alley over at Universal. It's a place that it's a huge place, but it's it's on the park map, but you're not seeing a sign saying, "Hey, you're entering Diagon Alley."
I mean, honestly, if that's what they do, that would be great.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be like that. It's going to be completely separate. I mean, I don't mean that it's going to require its own ticket or anything to get in. I just mean it's not just going to be necessarily another land, and you won't be seeing characters like skipping and like from Fantasyland into
No, I wasn't thinking that they would at all.
It's going to be completely separate, and the whole ominous feel will be exclusive to this area.
If they can make it be dark and stormy the whole time, that would be great.
I'll bet they can.
Maybe they should put the whole thing undercover and make
Maybe they will.
A day for night situation.
That's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Who knows? They have the ability. The Imagineers.
Someone knows.
They're thinking about it.
All right. Well, I think you have more confidence than I do in that. But I'm happy to be proven wrong. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with all of these expansion announcements. And to round out our D23 Ultimate Fan experience coverage, we will just briefly talk about the show floor experience, which again, I just had so much fun at because I wasn't stressing about all the other stuff.
Is because they had all of these major presentations come at a completely separate time. Whereas in previous expos, when you were on the show floor during one of these presentations, that essentially that many thousands of people weren't on the show floor. This time, all of the people were there. I mean, either there or in one of these smaller presentations that were taking place at the same time. So, but they've actually expanded the footprint of the show floor. They included a whole nother section.
Right. And while expanding that, they reduced the number of like third-party seller booths and stuff like that, which I was fine with. Just because that's not what I go there for. Right. So I know a lot of people go there for, and I am glad we walked around and we, met with Chris and got their books. And there is a lot of great books you can get there and things like that. But there's a lot of a lot of people selling their Disney stuff at the same time, which I don't go there for. So,
that's okay.
But the actual sponsored booths, if you will, like the TVA one, which I already described, was super fun. And I feel like a lot of times in the past, the things that they have had there, they also moved a lot of the shopping stuff. So like the Disney store.
That's right. Yeah, they had a
thing
whole
was way upstairs
on the second floor in a completely separate building, but it was connected.
And then they had the company store was in a different. Was that downstairs or that was still upstairs? Also, wasn't it?
No, that was on over by the archives car exhibit.
Okay. Which was, I didn't even like the company store wasn't usually a thing that was there, right? It was always
it was there. It was one of the.
Oh, I thought it was always
many
Mickey
different shopping things, and it was very difficult to.
Yeah.
There was the Disney store, the company store,
and then they had pin specific stores.
Imagineering had a store. Yeah, it was. There's so many different ones. It's hard to keep them.
The one
all
I
straight.
usually want to go to is Mickey's of Glendale, so that's the one that I always just wait in line for.
Yeah.
The Disney store one, and the company store was upstairs. I remember.
Oh, I don't know.
That they finally got rid of the
that was
queue
the
for
Disney
it.
store one.
Okay. Anyway, when we finally got into either of those, like all the stuff had already been sold out.
But it was nothing that we were too interested in anyway. But I'll tell you, when we went in there, I thought it was the company store. And then it turned out it was the Disney store.
Yeah, very weird stuff. And then it all ended up on the Disney store website like a few weeks later anyway.
But anyway, one of the major exhibits that they had there, as I mentioned, was the archives exhibit, which in this case was essentially vehicles that have appeared in many of the different movies across the years.
Which I was okay with, because the last few expos they've done a lot of costume specific things.
Yes,
which I was
but also
over that.
they did it in such a way where in the past you had to line up, and it took quite a while to get through the line. Here it was just basically an open concept, and you could just walk through anytime. Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. They had a lot of unique vehicles, including the van from Lost and all kinds of things from the Muppets and all kinds of fun things.
It's true. And one of the original trams from Disneyland, which is essentially a tractor.
Which I used to ride on when I was a kid.
And they only got rid of those in like the 2000s somethings, I heard. So I feel because of the expanded nature of that and the separation of some of the stores and the other Disney entertainment, Disney publishing, like those groups that are kind of like third party, but they're still affiliated with Disney. Like they had a Swarovski booth. They had the Disney publishing way upstairs as well. Right. All of those were taken out of the main show floor. So I think that the lines to get in the other fun presentation thingies were, that's the official name, were a lot more manageable for the most part. Some of the lines were still really long. And they did this thing called a pin scavenger hunt. Oh, that's so right. If you did all of the little, I'm just calling them sponsored booths. I don't know the official name for them, but like,
that's the official name.
You know, like Hulu had a booth and FX had a booth. ABC had a booth, which was all Abbott Elementary themed. And I really wanted to go in there, but that line was always super long. Yeah. It was a huge area and they did like a whole carnival themed thing. And I could not get into that one. But I did wait in the TVA line like 3 separate times. So that was fun. And I didn't tell you everything that was in there. So you started out and you were doing like a TVA initiation. When the first day, that was the very first thing I did when I got my media badge and could get in earlier. Which, by the way, I've never done that either. Like I've snuck in earlier, but this was like I was legally allowed to go.
Revoke your media badge.
I was legally allowed to go in earlier, and boy, that was really a great benefit because I literally had no line for the TVA, and as a result, I was one of the few people that got the TVA ID card.
Yeah,
because
they
literally
stopped doing that.
You came in. Maybe an hour after we went through it again.
And we went right through it, yeah.
And
they
had already done away with that due to just technical issues. It wasn't like, it was just that it was taking too long because they did take your photo and then made the little ID card while you went through the thing. So they just kind of like in the essence of time or whatever, in the
interest of saving time.
Thank you. Interest of saving time. I couldn't remember that phrase. They got rid of that. But then at the end, they had a Rocket Raccoon kind of turtle talk with Crush situation. And that was fun. And then at the very end was where they did the Agatha All Along costumes. Yeah. So it was a fun experience. They also had a huge exhibit of the Star Wars. I forget the name of it, but it's basically the technology that they use to put you into super outer space environment while they're filming these things. Yeah. And it was like very impressive if you watched people do it. That line was also too long for us to wait in.
Yeah, I never got to see that.
But it was very huge and very impressive. They had a huge wall of like the lights that powered the TV screens and stuff like that you could walk behind. And there was all these little Easter eggs on the tech boxes for that in the back. It was very cute. What else?
I would say the biggest one was the Imagineering / Parks.
I don't know how I feel about
because
that.
There was a queue to get into there, but then other than being able to see the different models, which they had opened up on the final day after the experience's presentation, everything was just an open floor concept where you're just kind of going to different areas to see different. Like there was one on costuming,
and
technologies, one on different attraction vehicles. that type of thing. But then central to that, they had a stage there, and where they had just throughout the day various presentations that different Imagineers were doing on different concepts. And it was definitely a different kind of thing.
It was. It was interesting though, because you could look through the thing, and if there was a discussion that interested you, of course, you could just walk over, and there was no
you didn't
not seeing it. You could just stand
wander
there and,
from one area to the other. And one of them, of course, like they had the different new innovations that they were doing, like that moving floor.
Oh yeah, the hollow tile.
The hollow tile
with Lanny Smoot, who invented it.
Exactly.
So, and they had those cute little robot guys.
Yep.
Lots of animatronic discussion over there as well. And then I think, and then of course there's the separate things that had like the Disney Cruise Line and DVC and Cotino.
Yeah.
Whatever that's called.
Story Living.
Yeah, Story Living.
In Palm Springs.
Interesting. Well, and it's also now in North Carolina as well.
That's right.
Hopefully that land is safe from all the hurricane damage. And then there was the whole Pixar section where they had fun little, photo ops. And they had various presentations there too with actual animators talking about the process and things like that. For some reason, the photo op things over there had the most insane lines.
People love to get their pictures taken.
And it's just like these giant,
props. Not props, but like characters.
Like just maquettes, but like giant of the characters. Yeah, it was just like really weird. But then like on the other side where that unicorn was from Inside Out, there was no line for that. I got a cute photo with it.
There you go. Who's to say who's popular?
Yeah, and then all the little smaller partnerships that Disney has with like, Rock Love Jewelry and like all these other like Loungefly and those things. Like there are people that go to the shows for that kind of thing, and they get like specific either giveaways or things. So those lines were always huge as well, and we just didn't affect us because we didn't really care about that.
One that I particularly enjoyed was the exhibit for the Walt Disney Family Museum up in San Francisco. They were also showing off their new book, which you were very kind enough to get for me, and I did
get that for you.
That was awesome.
One of my favorite places in the world is that museum.
Yes. So.
And what else? I really enjoyed the spooky American Horror Story exhibit thing in the FX booth, and they had a bear exhibit, which was fun.
That was very popular.
Yeah, I did
there was
wait.
Some sort of a cooking demonstration.
Well, they were pretending to make like beef things or whatever, beef sandwiches, which is from the show. But then you got like a pin and I forget what else, but it was a bunch of stuff. And that's why the lines are so long, because people want the free stuff. I actually skipped
that part and went to the American Horror Story part.
You did.
Which was super spooky.
Yeah, it was really weird the way they did that, because it was just display things. And I really thought something was going to jump out at you or something, but it never did. So
I think that at the end you were supposed to reach your hand into a certain area to grab a pin that they were handing out, but they had run out of pins. Oh. And for some people, you got the pin, and for others...
Did I get the pin?
For others, something happened.
No.
But they had run out of pins by that point.
Yeah, so. No. I don't remember if I got a pin, because I did go in by myself.
No, they had run out. I don't know if you got one.
I did get the bear pins, so. Anyway, then there's also like little kid things, and I think there was a Lego presentation and like an AT&T lounge. And also there's places to, sit around, and there's... of course, the food concession stands, which they were not prepared for.
No.
All the people. But yeah, overall, I had a great time on the show floor. Yeah, I did not enjoy how far away the Disney store stuff was. That was a long walk to get to that area. But, and then I didn't like any of the merchandise either. But overall, the show floor was fun for me.
I just enjoy the expo or the fan experience overall. I haven't missed any of them.
I know.
I've been to all of them. So I guess that's 8 now.
Wow.
I've been to every day of every one, and I just love going there.
Do you have any hopes or dreams for the next one that they will make improvements or anything?
Both of you make one prediction right now.
I predict that they probably will not be doing the Honda Center.
The
offsite situation. But I mean, I didn't hate it. I mean, and I'm basically, the only part I didn't care for was that I had to take time out to actually get out there.
To plan
because
to get there, yeah.
Remember, since I'm on the show floor the entire day, and then at the end of that, there's really only like an hour or so from the end of that day for the beginning of that presentation.
Right.
And I don't take breaks. I don't take food breaks. And so I essentially go the entire day without eating. Mm-hmm. So we were able to bring some little snackies.
But also, they have various presentations, which we did not talk about at all.
Oh my gosh,
but
that's
various presentations from, Imagineers and authors and people who are about to write a book. And they stack those up until 7 p.m. some nights.
Yeah.
And you have to be at the Honda Center by 7 p.m. So you kind of have to make your Sophie's choice
and
there.
That's always been the case with the expo.
Yeah.
Is you literally cannot see it all.
Yeah.
And then of course, on the third day, Sunday, the presentation that they had out at the Honda Center was the Legends ceremony, which we haven't even talked about. And that one actually started 2 hours earlier.
Right.
And so we had to make the hard choice to not attend that. We were able to go into the little arena and see a video broadcast of it from within the
which a lot of people were doing
from within the convention center. But
so your prediction is they will not do the Honda Center?
I don't know.
I think they need. I mean, I don't see how they could do the amount of people that they did again at the convention center.
That's
so I feel like they've kind of,
if they did. Yeah, they wouldn't be able to have as many folks out there. So,
and I loved the assigned seating. So, and
that is true.
Obviously people paid for it. So now they've set a precedent that people will pay more.
And they probably enjoyed the amount of money they received. Although from what I understand, it costs them quite a bit to rent out that space and to do all of those things. So, I mean, I haven't predicted anything up till now. I really don't know. So we'll see.
I predict they will keep assigned seating, but they will not do offsite again. But I don't know how they're going to.
Exactly what his prediction was.
Well, I don't know. He didn't say assigned seating.
Yeah, and also the arena that they have there is pretty small compared to the Honda Center.
They never held the big things in the arena anyway. They were in the.
No, they have.
They were in
the past. They have been in there in the past. In 2009, they were there.
Okay. Well, I wasn't at 2009. And they haven't been for everyone after that.
Yeah.
So I also think the amount of effort to get a seating chart for essentially folding chairs and then make all of that make sense is kind of impossible. So they may have to do an offsite thing going forward or just go back to the way it was, which will be stinky because I'll be full of anxiety again. And it's all about me. That's going to do it for our all over the place little wrap up of the D23 : the Ultimate Fan Experience 2024.
Parentheses. D23 Expo. Parentheses.
I mean, everyone just calls it D23, and I always used to call it Expo. So now, I can't call it Expo because it's not called Expo anymore. So I just have
It's the only word that's not in it.
I know. So I have to join the masses and just say, "Are you going to D23?" Because that's what they say, but that's not what it is. Because D23 is the thing, the entity.
You could either say, "Are you going to the D23 Expo?" Or are you going to the Expo?
Are you going to the Ultimate Fan Event?
Are you going to D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event?
Oh my God, I forgot Disney this whole time.
Wait,
the Ultimate Disney Fan Event. And it doesn't even have a colon. It's just D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan.
Well, that might just be the logo.
That's true. Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening. We are back and better than ever. And we will be doing these weekly shows, and then we're going to still do our deep dives. So watch out for those. Those will be fun videos that you are used to as well. But you can find us on youtube.com/upthewaterfall. We are on Instagram, which is connected to Threads, which I don't think I've done anything with yet, but I will, because Threads is where it's at, you know? I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be. And that is Up the Waterfall Show, all one word. So wherever you get your podcasts, fresh and hot out of the oven, Apple Podcast, Android, Google, whatever, Spotify, is that a thing? Sure. There you go. Just look for Up the Waterfall and you will find us. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
And give us a rating if you liked what you heard.
Yeah.
Throw us a comment somewhere. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear your ideas for shows. We've been getting a few comments recently on our older shows, which are our recent shows as well, because we haven't done one in so long. And you guys love the deep dives, so we will keep them coming. And we'd love to hear more from you and what you think and what you want to hear or see. So thanks so much for joining us up the waterfall. We'll see you next time.
Are you really going to end it with that every time?
Are you asking if, yes. Should I?
Absolutely.
Why not? I mean, that's what we did every other time, right? Thanks for joining us up the waterfall. We'll see you next time.
Bye now.